Mr. President, I'm Patricia Mashali. I'm a senior administration clerk in SAPS at the Firearm Registry. I did report misconduct, corruption, abuse of state resources, misuse of powers and nepotism on 6 January 2021 to the National Commissioner. Since last week, I've been practically in hiding because still today, I'm still waiting for someone to come and tell me that we are going to protect.
Well, welcome to this, a special edition of my Aletheia Dialogues with Whistleblowers. I say special edition because an urgent situation has developed with one of the Whistleblowers for Change members who has been exposing and disclosing wrongdoing within the South African Police Services. She has suffered severe retaliation from her bosses as a consequence. In addition to Patricia, I've invited her legal representative, Advocate Masalela Dan Tefo, to help explain the gravity of the situation. To set the scene and put this dialogue with Patricia and Dan in context, I want to start off with a short clip from a panel discussion that was broadcast by Newsroom Africa yesterday morning, that being Sunday, the 27th February. It was to learn about the launch of a new and very welcome initiative that's arisen from within the whistleblower community, Whistleblower House. The clip features Dr. Mary de Haas, a social worker from Durban, who has for the past 3 or more decades researched and monitored the volatile political situation in KZN and has established herself as a foremost authority on problems within the SAPS, and she enjoys the confidence of many good cops whose interests she has consistently championed in trying to stop corruption and bring an end to political interference in the SAPS so that it can be run professionally and founded on an absolute commitment to the rule of law. Mary has fearlessly confronted and challenged political leaders who interfere to subvert that, and has been monitoring the conduct of the current Minister of Police, Bheki Cele, ever since he emerged on the scene some 25 or more years ago. You can read what Mary has to say in her Violence Monitor blog, as well as in regular contributions to the Mail and Guardian of late. She has also championed the cause of whistleblowers, and over the past 3 years has made it her business to ensure that whistleblower Thabiso Zulu does not suffer the same fate as his friend Sindisa Makakwa, who was shot and killed in July 2017. Well, Mandy Wiener tells Thabiso's story in her book, The Whistleblowers, but Patricia's story is yet to be told. So let's pick up in this clip after she has outlined her fears for the safety of Thabiso, and when she then explains her anxiety about what might happen to Patricia.
So the persecution comes from within the police. I'll give you one more case study now, and that is Ms. Patricia Mashele. She is a very senior administrator in the Free State Police. For years, she has been approaching everybody, the presidency, the portfolio committee. Well, she starts with glaring irregularities of irregular promotions. Let me tell you the most recent one. She goes to her line manager. She's referred a dossier of firearms criminality in the police to the Hawks for investigation. Last year, she sent a letter to Commissioner Sitole's office detailing irregular promotions, asking for intervention. Nothing was done. Then the persecution started. One of the people she'd named as being irregularly promoted brought a malicious case of harassment against her. Her phone was seized. Her personal phone was seized irregularly. Still hasn't been returned. I personally wrote to the head of legal services 6 weeks ago. It still hasn't been returned. They also said she'd committed an offence because she wrote to the National Commissioner about these irregularities. She then had her car followed for a long distance. There were police in unmarked vehicles, but it was her elder son who'd gone to fetch his brother a long way away from a boarding school. Car followed them home, and then when they found out she wasn't in it, left. Then they brought an expeditious action against her in January And that is the way they get rid of people in the police. They've been doing this for years. There are hundreds of people who've been dismissed irregularly because they don't go along with a crooked cabal. That's been put on hold. And the man who was chairing it was one of the people whose promotion she had blocked. He was again demoted. She has now been told she's going to be arrested for a non-existent crime, and they're going to take her miles away. That's tomorrow. Now, the point I'm telling you all this is that the problem starts with the police. If we don't deal with the police, we can forget about protecting whistleblowers. And it's not the matter of just removing Sithole, the whole management. I've been working on policing issues since the early 90s. The whole management is top heavy. The promotions are grossly irregular. You'll have people sitting there who have no proper training because they're bodyguards, they're MK, and they're in senior positions. So until there is an overhaul of the police, and the people who arrested Thabiso last year were the ministerial task team, which reports to the minister. Clearly, and they are looking at political killings. They're headed by a non-detective who's never been a detective who reports to Clearly. Now, they have just released on bail some of the hitmen in the Sindisa Magaka case who are on record as wanting to kill Thabiso Zulu. Look, I mean, I'm telling you this to show you just how grave the situation is, and until we have something done with the police, we cannot have a new commissioner in Sithole's place until there's been a complete forensic audit of promotions, because the wrong people are sitting there. Whoever gets appointed from the list that's circulating is not the person, because Clearly runs the police, and he wants his person so he can run it remotely, and he is the one who has left Thabiso Zulu open to being killed. And Patricia Mashale. Right. So, I mean, this is my say on whistleblowing, because until you deal with the police, and there are a few of us trying to deal with this, we have to restructure the police. So I've had my...
Well, Patricia, now, how does that make you feel? What's going through your heart and mind?
John, you know what? I'm a strong woman. There's a lot of things that I can endure. But I get so helpless and frustrated when I learn that possibly the minister is going to be tasking to appoint the new acting national commissioner. We don't know, is it going to be acting or is it going to be permanent? That's outrageous. I mean, really, we've been sitting with two individuals fighting one another while the country is burning down. Now, this one individual is now entrusted with a task to bring someone that he trusts to run the police again. How is it going to work? My biggest concern in SAPS is the fact that politicals are running SAPS. And this is one thing that we must do away with. SAPS must be depoliticized. The management is inflated. You know what? It's so simple to run this organization. It's very simple. We don't need academics or graduates to run SAPS, because the core function of SAPS, according to the South African Police Service Act, is to prevent and fight crime.
Well, Dan, we're going to have a dedicated interview to hear your own remarkable story as a whistleblower, as a former police officer yourself for 19 years, and now as an advocate who's been representing police officers and officials who have been wrongfully dismissed. Now, Patricia is one of many clients. Now, explain to us why this one is so important.
Thank you, John. Let me first applaud Patricia. She is strong indeed, and they've tried by all means to break her. I've got my motto, John, that I often say to the people, said that if you didn't make me, you won't break me, because you don't know the kind of the ingredients that are made with. It is a bizarre, really, in this country for the President Ramaphosa. He has been the leader during the time of the negotiations in this country's future, and leading to the extent of being the reliable source and reliable leader during the time of the drafting of the constitution of this country. which has been applauded by the countries or the continents to say that South Africa has got the best constitution. So when they say that South Africa has got the best constitution, the name of Ramaphosa always comes up as given the credit. But now I say it's bizarre because it's today the same man, the same person accredited to this so-called best constitution.
Now, Patricia and Dan, let's assume that President Ramaphosa is going to see this interview. In brief headline points, what does he need to know and do to ensure that the retaliation against Patricia stops? Dan, do you want to go first? What do you think he needs to know and do?
Exactly. A good question. President has been saying that. Remember in the speech that he gave, the January 8th, he has talked about the seriousness, how he seriously viewed the protection of the whistleblowers, and also the issue of gender-based violence. So in this regard, there are two typical examples or cases, John, that can be of serious magnitude, should be taken serious by the president and the whole country. We know of the situation of Babita Deokaran, the lady at the Department of Health, who was gruesomely killed. This incident took the whole country by storm to realize that really there is a need to pay a full attention to the situation of the whistleblowers. And if President Ramaphosa is serious about fighting crime, because or for him to come to be the president, to ascend this throne at the Union Building, using the ticket of anti-corruption, coming to fight against the corruption. And he made the clarion call that I should not be alone in this. I'm calling upon all South African people, whether you voted for ANC or not, but as long as you are against the corruption, come and assist me in fighting this fight, because alone as the president, I won't win this. I will only win this with you. I don't care the position where you are.
And and I would want to say he needs people like Patricia to do that.
So here is a Patricia. With the Patricia is not late. Patricia is still alive. And the person who is a troublesome, who want to prove the president wrong, that president, the whistleblowers don't expect protection, don't need to be protected, is the Minister of Police, Bheki Cele. After the killing of Siniso Magaga, then Thabiso Zulu came in, and there was the issue of protection. President Ramaphosa, for your information, John, said Thabiso should get protection from the police. President gave that permission. Surprisingly, Minister Cele came in to say, no, it's not for us as the police to protect Thabiso Zulu. So shame. And after that, he even went to court, Minister Cele. It's not our duty to protect the whistleblowers. It's not our duty to protect the people who are in danger because of the corrupt people. This is a Cele, and it's a defying the president. And then after president is silent, then Babita Deokaran was killed.
Okay. Now, in fact, I heard Bheki Cele make the point at the Human Rights Commission hearings into the KZN violence. Again, he said, oh no, there was this issue about this whistleblower, but it was eventually decided it wasn't my responsibility. It was the Department of Justice. So he's trying to get off the hook there too. What I hear you saying is that we want to prevent the same fate that Babita Deokaran suffered with Patricia Machela. You know, as I've got to know both of you, in fact, Patricia and yourself, I've seen people of extraordinary ethical commitment wanting to serve this country as the Constitution obliges. It's extraordinary to think that the very people that should be leading the fight against corruption are now not just not being able to do that, they aren't even able to do what your ordinary job should be. This is no way to run a country. Patricia, tell us more about what you would like to see happen from the president. Let's assume that he's hearing us. What practically can he do for you right now to give you peace of mind and your family a sense of confidence that you don't need to go into exile like others have had to do in fear of your life?
Yes, thank you, John. I'm going to introduce myself again to the president. Mr. President, I'm Patricia Mashali. I'm a senior administration clerk in SAPS at the Firearm Registry. I did report misconduct, corruption, abuse of state resources, misuse of powers and nepotism on 6 January 2021 to the National Commissioner. A few days thereafter, I was informed by one of my colleagues that the National Commissioner have compromised my identity by informing the management that I complained about, and the management started to retaliate against me. That's where all my trouble began. Now where I'm sitting now, I'm alone. I'm away from my children. I'm away from my family, not because I'm afraid to die, but I'm afraid to bring harm to those I love. Because when they kill, they will not kill you alone. They will kill whoever they think knows what you know. So since last week, I've been practically in hiding. I'm hiding in plain sight, can I say? Because still today, I'm still waiting for someone to come and tell me that we are going to protect you. The president promised a few weeks ago that Whistle is a priority and they will be protected. But as I'm out there publicly speaking out about corruption in SAPS and its subs as a whole, I've never received any message or anything from the president's office as he had. The other thing that I saw is the persons who I complain about are getting police protection. And I've proved, whenever I go to court with a manager, the deputy provincial commissioner, and I will name it. He's the deputy provincial commissioner of policing in Free State. You will enjoy protection, police escort, together with his private lawyer in a private matter, whereby he obtained a protection order against me at a family court because I complained about the provincial management to the National Commissioner. It happens 3 times in a row. Now he's sitting there, the person who I complained about enjoying protection from the state with his private attorney, and me as the whistleblower I exposed to train police officers who could handle guns and who was carrying guns at that very moment. And I believe that anything can happen. Anything can happen to me at any time, and no one will say, ask, but what happened? But I did report this. Mr. President, all I ask from you is, I've given proof to everyone. The National Commissioner is well aware of what is going on here. The National Commissioner is the one who put my life in danger in the first place. He didn't protect me. After I complained to him, he put me out there to fry. And then everyone came after me. So here I am, away from my children, away from my family. I don't know when this is going to end. The only person who can end this, Mr. President, is yourself. Take me out of this situation and give me something.
Patricia, just explain, are you saying you reported this to the National Commissioner, General Castle Satole, and the very fact of you making those disclosures invited retaliation? Is that what you're saying?
That is exactly what I'm saying, John. I was charged departmentally for misconduct. And the charges was because I brought the service into disrepute by reporting the provincial management, including the provincial commissioner, to the National Commissioner. That was the charges against me. And it was an expeditious process. Expeditious in the police. It's just a formality to inform you that you are dismissed. There is no processes. You will not be allowed to defend yourself in a trial. I didn't even attend the expeditions because I knew chairpersons. They are already have a mandate to say this person is a problem for us. She must go. And then you find I come with evidence then. In this year, I complained about this person. I was the one who reported the unlawful promotion of this brigadier. And now he's sitting there as the chairperson of my expeditions. Obviously, he's going to retaliate because from a general to a brigadier, he's angry. What is he going to do? He's going to dismiss me.
Patricia, you can be assured that that even if the president doesn't see this, that my connections internationally through the media, and I've got several people that I'm connected with in the United States and Europe, will get to hear what's happening, and questions will be asked at the United Nations, perhaps, international governance structures, to hold South African government to account for what really amounts to an extraordinary violation of your constitutional rights, and the further weakening of a state that's really been captured for too long and needs to shed those grave clothes. But Dan, tell me, what would you advise my international friends? What guidance would you give them as to how they can effectively make some sort of intervention?
Thank you, John. I will say, now that you have exposed us to your international connection, in particular talking about ARIS, with experience, fortunately, here in South Africa. People like ARIS can connect us also to the international solidarity movements, like the one that he belongs in, like, for example, the Blueprint, where he belongs. There are many people outside who they admire this country. As I said, like the constitution of this country, if they be informed that the same people who are responsible for the drafting of this constitution are the ones who are violating this constitution, and then the international community should also liaise with us. Then we can also make sure that our case, through our networking, John, as we are now, this video need to be known to the international, this is an appeal that is done by a vulnerable member of the society, a person who is trying by all means to say, President, here I am, I'm assisting you to fight this corruption. It's a woman. It's not only the harassment, it's GBV. That president has long said, he is fighting it. He should fight it. Every time one president talk, we'll never talk without mentioning GBV. That is a pandemic. We are still in this pandemic of COVID-19. Now Patricia is a victim of, Patricia is not with her family now. She's in hiding. We don't know what will happen wherever she is. She's vulnerable now to the COVID-19. She's vulnerable to this another second pandemic of the GBV. Now the president is still saying the same person, the right-hand man of President Ramaphosa, is the national commissioner, Khetla Sithole, exposed Patricia to this vulnerability of the pandemic of harassment as a whistleblower. Bheki Cele, I've been arrested 4 times by the order of both Sithole and Bheki Cele. And the president is aware, and he still trusts in them. We really need to, President, to explain to us. When he said the termination of Khetla Sithole's contract is by mutual agreement. Well, 5 months ago, the same president said, I, President of the country, the Republic of South Africa, I hereby give a notice of possible suspension to the National Commissioner, Khetla John Sithole. I give you 7 days, Khetla Sithole, that you give me the reason as to why I should not suspend you and subject you to the fitness hearing. Then Khetla Sithole responded within 7 days. We know, after the president got the reason from Sithole, the president is his mom. 5 months later, he still doesn't come to the public to say why he should not carry on. There is a court order. There is a judgment by Judge Davis from the North Gauteng High Court saying that Khetla John Sithole He's there entertaining the politics of ANC. He's there to say the 45 million should be withdrawn from the slush fund of the crime intelligence and do the job of the politics on the part of the president's party, ANC. So is John Sithole appointed to serve his political master, or was he appointed to serve, to be the servant of the people of South Africa, people like the Patricia? When the people like the Patricia come into him and say, the management of Free State is so much engulfed into the corruption, I report all this to you as a national commissioner. Take the steps against those people. If the same person who's supposed to protect Patricia, the clarion call to the president by Patricia to say, President, here I am. I'm today far away from my family because now, being the good citizen, I'm now being attacked. Where are you? Where's your protection?
In the last 10 minutes that we have of this, because before the thunderstorm is about to kind of descend on me, I almost feel like it's the wrath of God coming down upon this country with all the lightning. But you mentioned about our constitution, and of course, I get the extraordinary irony that, you know, the man that was leading the constitution writing process, who's now our president, Cyril Ramaphosa, should, in a sense, have such a sort of a thin commitment to its deeper principles by allowing, under his watch, a politicization of the police. Now, he does have the prerogative to name the next commissioner, and I would just hope and pray that he makes that decision on the basis of somebody who is a professional. I always like to try and say we can curse the darkness, but it's also important for us to light the candle. And I was really encouraged, Patricia, when you told me the other day in one of our sessions that a lot of people were getting confidence, colleagues of yours, that you were actually having a catalytic effect of actually nerving your colleagues to also now lodge complaints. Tell us a bit about that, because it sounded to me like a wonderful example of the fact that we do have democratic freedom.
Yes, John, it was amazing to see how unlawfully dismissed colleagues as well as current colleagues came out in their numbers. I have a list of more than 100 colleagues who came out. And the irony is almost all of them were dismissed because they reported wrongdoing in the workplace. And then charges would just opened against them, and they were all subjected to this expeditious process. I dig deeper into this, and the funny thing that I found now is these people are dismissed. They never received a formal dismissal letter from the National Commissioner as per the National Instruction of the South African Police Act. These so-called dismissal are just being signed by one brigadier or the same person that I told you about that was demoted. And when these members try to withdraw their funds from EGPF, they are active on the system. They are still active on the system, on SARS, paying dues over to SARS, meaning that the salaries have never been stopped. So now the one question that I ask myself is, where are these members' salaries been redirected to? Because common sense tells me that these members are not dismissed. All those dismissals are unlawful. They are unlawful. There was no procedure followed when these members was charged and dismissed. Now you see now, and it happens back to 10 years ago. Now you ask yourself, would my brother the same? My brother was dismissed just verbally. And immediately after they dismissed him, he said his person was blocked on salary. Now I realize that somewhere, SAPS have a big pool of funds of so-called dismissed members' salaries. Now, where does SARS come in here? Because if you're unemployed, you cannot not contribute as an employed person. And that's why I started to say now I'm going to write a letter to the Commissioner of SARS to request him to investigate this matter, because it can't be that these members, which means they are ghost employees.
Wow.
They are not there, but they are earning a salary. which are not being paid into the bank accounts. The rate of corruption in the SAPS is calculated with experienced, graduated criminals who knows how to direct a member's salary to a pool of funds they are being utilized for whatever we don't know. We need entire expensive investigation into this by all law enforcement agencies. The president must be aware of what is going on in SAPS, and he must be aware that the top management is aware of what is going on. No one can tell me they don't know. If you are in charge of your house, you must know exactly what is going on in your house. You can't say tomorrow, but my child went out and I didn't know about it. So you must be aware that some of your children are very, very naughty and they are stealing from the others. And if you're not aware, it means that you weren't suitable for the job in the first place. You are incompetent. And that's what we're sitting now with the inflated management of incompetent managers who doesn't know what is going on in the organization. And that is what the president has to look at. Just appointing someone for the sake of appointment purpose was the beginning of the end of SAPS in the first place, John. Wow. And this thing must be looked at. There's a deep rot in SAPS, and is this we call now organized crime. All the organized criminals are within the SAPS.
Well, Faith, there you have it. And just to round this off and to make an interesting point, Cyril Ramaphosa actually did quite a good job in leading the whole process of ensuring a constitution was written that entrenched the rule of law and the Bill of Rights. And as a consequence, it means that human rights don't belong to governments. They belong to us as ordinary citizens, and it's our responsibility to ensure that we exercise them and we hold government accountable. Don't underestimate what individuals can do who in their social media connections and all the rest. So please, I urge folk to take this matter to heart and see what we can do to ensure that the same fate that befell Babita Deokaran, Sandisa Makaka and others does not occur with regards to Patricia.